Well, Tom, thanks for coming in today.
Appreciate it. I'm glad to have the opportunity.
Well, we're looking forward to this. Tell us something about your political background.
Well, I've run for office a couple, 3 other times, I think it was. I've been in Alderman now for 6 years, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I get to get out and get to meet the people in the town of Collierville, try to represent what they stand for rather than what I stand for.
Well, that's great. Every candidate has a passion or an energy that drives them to impact or change the world around them. What would your family say is your passion or energy that motivates you to seek this position?
Well, I've always been working with the public all of my life, and I just enjoy meeting people. I enjoy new ideas, new concepts. I don't like the ideas that we've got to follow a certain pattern every day, in and out every day. I like to think out of the box, and that's what I did in my career. We had to think out of the box, and my passion is to make sure that we look at every avenue. What can we do to improve Collierville? I know it's a great town, but still we can always improve, and we can do that through their education system. Make sure our tax base is low. I'm a very physical conservative, you know, and I don't like to spend other people's money because I've seen what's happened to this country over the past several years, you know. And that's my passion is try to put that across to the people, to let them know that if I'm elected, that they get their money in good hands, you know. And my voting records prove that. And I like I say, I like to get out and meet people and find out what their problems are, try to solve those problems, and be as helpful as I possibly can to the community.
All the candidates have been in a position of decision making and leading others. Different people lead in different ways. How would you define the style of leadership in which you lead? Well,
my leadership throughout my career in being in business and being in management for 26 years, I like to give each individual an opportunity to put their own mark on it. I say this is a concept that we're probably looking at. This is the overall broad lines that we have. Now you come up with some ideas. Show me what the bottom line is. You may have, because you know, not everyone has all the answers. And it's amazing, Ben, how if you let people use their imagination, their enthusiasm, their work habits, to get out there and creative, they can accomplish a lot of stuff in their lifetime. And that's what I like to give people when they've been working for me, is go out there and do something different. Think out of the box, you know. Be aggressive. Don't just say, well, I'm going to do this day in and day out. Let's do something different.
If elected, what would be your goals and objectives?
Well, my goals and objectives is three major things. Number one is the safety of the community. If you don't have safety in the community, you will not have a community much at all. Second is schools. We have got an opportunity, and I realize it's a big challenge, but to create the greatest school system in this part of the country. And the third is to be friendly to business. Make sure that in certain areas where we've already got it zoned, that we invite businesses in, that we give them an atmosphere and create an atmosphere that they enjoy coming to Collierville, because we've got to have business to keep the tax bases low. And that's my concept of three things that I'm going to push real hard, you know.
If people are voting for you, they are voting for what?
They're voting
in a short phrase.
Very physical, conservative individual that believes in making sure that each dollar we spend, we get a return on it. Now, I know we make mistakes sometimes, but that's my goal.
What vision for the town have the town leaders had for the past 2 years? And should it change? And if it should, how should it change?
Well, we have changed in the last 2 to 3 years, I would say, rather than just 2 years, because we have become more business friendly. We have worked hard to try to keep our water and sewer rates at the lowest possible. And I know it's a big issue with a lot of people because everybody is taxed, you might say taxed on the same basis, no matter what their income is. Also, we have tried to create a deal where we're going to be the regional leaders in the next 5 to 10 years. And we got that opportunity. When I say regional, that would be Fayette County, Marshall County, and eastern part of Shelby County. And we have the opportunity to be that leader. And I think I can do that because my experience in the past, and when I was working in sales and in management, I would have to go into a different district about every 4 or 5 years and bring that district up to a profitable situation for the company. And with the good people that work for me, which I did not do it all on myself, we were able to do that and make a very successful career for all of us, you know.
The town has 10 different departments, I think. In your opinion, which city department is performing at its highest performance level, and which town department is performing at its lowest level? And which department could use some improvement, if any?
That's a trick question, Ben.
Well, I don't know the answer.
I tell you, we've got all great departments. We can have some improvements. I think in the efficiency in our planning department, that where I know we've improved considerably over the last 4 or 5 years. But if somehow we can come up with solutions of how to reduce the paperwork that goes on in each department, because I know it puts a lot of load on those individuals with the amount of paperwork. And somewhere there's got to be a solution where we can reduce the amount of paperwork that goes in the planning department. That's engineering, planning, codes, and all that. Because I know it just takes a tremendous amount of time there just filing paperwork. You know.
If elected, would you either want to keep or make changes in the heads of departments to carry out your vision for the town?
Well, I think it's immaterial right now to me be saying I want to make some changes, but sure, there's always changes made. That's where you progressive changes, because if you do some changes, you have new ideas, new concepts, and new efficiency on how to do things.
Citizens want an ethical government. In your opinion, does the Collierville ethics policy for the mayor and board need to be changed in any way?
No, I think we've done a good job on the ethics deal. I think everybody that's on the board now is very ethical. We've not had any problem from that standpoint. Sure, there's always can be improvements made, but I don't have any problem with what we've got right at the present time.
What type of mayor best serves the town of Collierville? A political leader with a full-time administrator, or a full-time mayor who's the administrator or somewhat CEO of the town?
I think with the size of Collierville in this day and time, which is about 46,000 people, I think it's about time that we look at having a full-time mayor that can devote all the time. Because I think the people that make the decision ought to report directly to the people that puts them in office. Of course, I know you would need an assistant and all that kind of stuff, you know, but I think we're at that stage of growth, you know, where we can justify and should have a full-time mayor.
What are the top 3 values that you believe should guide the town government in its decision making?
Honesty, efficiency, and dedication. That's the 3.
You sound very confused.
No.
I'm joking.
Not me.
That's good. That's clear. In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of mayor?
Office of the mayor is the one that's kind of like the chairman of the board of any large corporation. You conduct the meetings, you make some of the decisions outside the scope of the town administrator. You try to me, you try to come up with a vision of what the town would like to be in the next 5, 10, or 15 years. And also the mayor, there's one that throws out ideas, concepts. How can we improve? What should we do next? How do we get out of that box, you know, like some of the governments are throughout the country. And I think that's what the mayor should be doing. That's his goal.
In your opinion, what makes a good mayor?
Well, what makes a good mayor is making sure that they remember who puts them in office, that listen to the people, try to carry out their wishes, like I say, run an efficient and honest, open government. And to me, that's what makes any good leader, no matter if it's a mayor of town of Collierville or anywhere else. And that's what I would try to do.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of alderman?
Aldermen, they're the legislative body of the town of Collierville. They make and pass all the legislation that's required and needed, and they play a very, very important role in town government, and especially the ones that really dig into what the town needs to be doing and how you do it, and make all the rules and regulations.
In your opinion, what makes a good alderman?
Well, I think what makes a good alderman is basically what makes really a good mayor. Somebody that's honest, that's, again, remember that who he works for, that he works for the people of the town of Collierville, and that he's going to be doing the best, that he does not represent just a good old boy system or special interest group, that he represents everybody, no matter how long they've been here, no matter where they come from, or no matter what the economic background is from. You've got to be a representative of all the people.
Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Many times our strengths create our weaknesses. What would be your strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I think one of my strengths is that I'm going to tell it like it is, and what you see is what you get. And sometimes that can be a weakness, because I believe in saying exactly what I think, and I don't try to sugarcoat it or be politically correct or stuff like this. I believe in being as honest, upright, upfront as I possibly can be, and sometimes that rubs people the wrong way, but that's life.
Yeah. In your opinion, what's the financial state of the town? Is it healthy?
The town of Collierville is healthy. We've got the highest rating you can get from a financial standpoint. Well, I know we've got a debt that we need to reduce, which we have been reducing the last, I'd say, 4 to 5 years, because we are looking at a big challenge, and that's going to be a school system. So we've got to have somebody that's really knows the financial situation, what's going to be not only now, but what's going to be in the future, how we can finance that without taxing people to death on that part.
If you could affect one change in town government, what would it be?
I think it would be that we have got to live within our means at all times. I think sometimes that town government gets into items that they should not be in. They should stay on their basic core business, and that's health, protection, and safety and welfare of the citizens of this great town.
Since the year 2008, what decisions have been made by the town mayor and board that now you think might have been unwise?
Well, I guess that would depend on who you're asking. That type of deal. We try not to think of some of the things that has been unwise. I think maybe we've extended ourselves in certain areas that we probably, if we'd have known then what we know now about the school system, we should not spend some money that we have spent in the past. Of course, that's hindsight, and it's always 20/20.
Has the town become more business friendly the past 4 years? And if so, what steps would you take to continue that process?
No doubt it's come tremendously more business friendly in the last 4 years, because we've all worked hard. We have a great crew in our engineering department, our planning department, and our code department, which makes it more friendly, because we got where we're working with people now. We try to come up with what we can do to help them. And if I'm elected as mayor, I would set up a commission of some businessmen to come in maybe once a quarter, say, these codes are obsolete, or we need to do this, or we need to go out and promote ourselves in this aspect, because we have a lot of wonderful people that have contacts worldwide in this town, and I would try to get them to come in and tell us, are we doing something wrong that's going to affect you, that's going to make it harder for you to get in business? or do we have some stuff that needs to be corrected that's been done in the past, you know?
Mm-hmm. What role do you see the local Chamber of Commerce playing between the town and the business community?
Chamber of Commerce should be the one that's, to me, it'd be the outreach for businesses that helps them in any way they possibly can from a standpoint of what's available for different type of businesses that's coming into town, whether it's zoning or laws or codes that might affect them, you know. And they should be able to bring it back to the board and, you know, say, this is what we need to do to correct it, and go out and have an outreach for new business coming into town, especially what I call the real clean type business.
Mm-hmm. The growth of business in Collierville will lower the tax burden for homeowners and create a more balanced town. How important is economic development to you?
Tremendously, because being in the business world all of my life, a working life I should say, I know how important businesses are. Not only are they create a tax base, but they create a lot of charities that they give to different organizations, whether it's the schools or the churches or scouts or whatever it might be, you know. They are very generous in that type of deal. And if we eliminate or makes it hard for business to come in, then we don't have that base to help us out.
At the present time, there's not a dedicated economic development employee. Do you believe it's beneficial for the town to fund an economic development position?
Not really, and let me explain myself. I think what we should do, we should go out and hire some consultant that specialize in how do you bring business into the community, because it's hard for one individual to go out and make the contacts or have access to all the contacts that's out there that might be available to the town of Collierville. But if you have a group or 2 or 3 people that may be in the consulting business that has those contacts worldwide, we're a worldwide community now. FedEx has made us that. Mm-hmm. And we would have that exposure by this group rather than just one individual trying to do it all.
Over the past 4 years, what growth has occurred because of the strides taken in the town to create a more business-friendly environment? Are there businesses that have moved or expanded in Collierville because of these efforts?
Yes, it sure has. We've had some business move in here. In fact, we've got one in the process now. And I think we get the opportunity in the next few years with the intermodal coming in to help create a lot more business, because, like I say, we could be the hub because we have everything that a business is looking for. We have the infrastructure. We have the police department. We have the fire department. We have our own utilities, except, you know, gas and electricity. We have Interstate 69 and 385. We have the airport 20 minutes away. We have the river 25 minutes away. So we've got everything that a business would be looking for right here in Collierville. And I think it's why it would make a great opportunity in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
The town adopted the Collierville 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The plan's use will result in a better town of Collierville. A key issue is how is this land use plan carried out? What actions would you recommend?
Well, anytime you come up with a 20, 25, 30-year plan, you always have got to tweak it, because things change in life. That's why I say you've got to think out of the box. But it gives people that move into the town of Collierville and even business a concept of where business is going to be, or where apartments are going to be, or where residential areas are going to be, all of this nature. And they got a pretty good idea that when they move into town, that they know what's going to be the next door neighbor, you know.
As you mentioned earlier, Norfolk Southern's opened this new intermodal terminal as part of its Crescent Corridor project. With future expansion, this terminal will cover about 400 acres with 6 loading tracks and 2,000 parking spaces. How should the town react to this new large intermodal terminal that's under construction at the edge of Piperton and Rossville?
Well, I think, you know, as they say, you got to make lemonades out of lemon, because some people don't like the intermodal deal, but it's here. And I think the town should reach out to the businesses that are probably planning the next 5, 10, 15 years, because according to the University of Tennessee, in the next 10 years, it could generate up to as many as 15, 16,000 jobs, you know. So if we take advantage of that, have the shoppings like we got here now, have the school system that we're going to have, I think the town will start growing again. It will have the growth, it will have the tax base to where it will help everybody in town.
The creation of the Collierville Municipal School District will have a major impact on the citizens of Collierville. What are the major political questions that the mayor and aldermen will face regarding the new school system?
Well, we've got to understand that once the school board is elected, that will take the board and mayor and aldermen just about out of the picture, except for the financial end of it. And the financial end of it will come when they exceed how much money they receive from the state or the county government or even the federal government. Then the Collierville Board of Mayor and Alderman will step in to see how much more money that we need to put into the school system to make it that great. You know. But the school board and the superintendent will call all the shots after the school board is elected.
How would you react to the school board asking for more money? I mean, do you feel that Collierville should have a school system that is better and costs more than the other 5 suburbs that might have school systems?
Oh, I think to be, if you look at the figures, it'd probably be pretty close to $8,000 per student that we will receive from other government entities. I think if you're going to have a great school system, even greater than what we got now, it's going to take some more money. We can't be kidding ourselves that it's not going to be, because I've never seen any type of business, whether it's government or private business, that start a business and it don't cost more than what you anticipate. So I think the people in Collierville is prepared for that. I think they realize that, but I think the assets and the return on the investment, because really it is an investment. We've got to have the top-notch school system in this region, part of, you know, the Mid-South. And I think we can do that. But man, we've already got a good system. We've got great teachers, and it's the volunteers in this town and the school system is just always amazing me. And participating in some of the school activities, attending as a grandfather, sometimes you'll find more parents in the school than you will teachers. And that just shows you how much they involved to make sure that we have a top education.
Can you go back over again the fiduciary role that the mayor and board of aldermen play with the school superintendent and the school board?
Well, like I say, all the decision after the school board is elected is going to be left up to the superintendent and the newly elected school board. Where the mayor and alderman step in is when they will need extra money than what the state, county, or federal government is going to allow per student. Or if we need some capital improvement, say we probably need a new high school pretty shortly, then that's when the mayor and board of aldermen will step in to come up with the funds to do that expansion or maintain the buildings that we got, you know.
Crime is an issue on the minds of all citizens. What, if any, changes do you think are needed in the police department to address crime concerns?
You know, I've been in this town a long time, and it's amazing to me how they've improved. And I think we got one of the greatest police departments in the Mid-South area. I attended the Citizen for Collierville Police Academy. That's just where we go in and kind of learn the concept that they go to. Man, we got experts in every field, you might say. With negotiation, our tracking, our detectives, our traffic, you name it, and we got it. And they are some of the best trained men and some of the most dedicated men, and got one of the worst jobs in the country. But I just don't think we can make a lot of improvement in the police department.
What about in fire protection? That's an important issue too for citizens.
Fires don't, you never hear anything out of those two departments that's negative. All the comments I've ever heard is how great they are, how they respond to emergency. You make a phone call and they're there within 3 or 4 minutes, you know. Most of them are trained as a paramedic. So, it's hard to improve upon the efficiency, but you can. And I think those guys are training every day to do that. And it just, like I said, just amazing to me the kind of positive response we get from the citizens of Collierville when they're needed.
Well, we sure appreciate you coming in and letting us know where you stand on everything.
Well, Ben, as I say, that may be one of my problems. I'll let you know exactly where I stand.
No, that's good. We're
Thank
all
you,
looking
sir.
forward to that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, Stan, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for setting this up along with the Chamber of Commerce. This is a fine opportunity for all the candidates to be able to put forward to the voters and the citizens of Collierville what their views are on some very important questions. So I'm honored to be here.
So tell the citizens some about your political background.
Sure. I've been, of course, Collierville is my hometown, but I've been active with town government since 1987. I was appointed to the Planning Commission when, quite frankly, we didn't even have a planner. We had to borrow someone from the state who would come down from Jackson, Tennessee, a couple times a month to meet with us on planning issues. But I served on the Planning Commission until 1999 and was elected in 1999 to my first term as Alderman. I ran unopposed in 2003 and so obviously was elected again, and then ran again in 2006. We went to staggered terms, so it was kind of an odd number of years the way that worked out. But again, was blessed to have run unopposed in my second or my third term as Alderman. And about that time, I had really seriously become interested in being mayor, or offering myself to the citizens of Collierville to serve as mayor. And I spent most of that last term preparing myself to be mayor, and then of course was elected mayor in 2008. It's been a fast 4 years, and here we are again. So.
Well, tell us, every candidate has a passion and energy that drives them to impact the world around them.
Right.
What would your family say is your passion or your energy that motivates you to seek this political position?
Well, I think maybe it's a servant's heart. As I said, I've always been involved in some type of service to others through my church, then through town government for as long as I can remember, basically. I obviously have a great love and for the town of Collierville, it being my hometown, and have just worked very hard to make it the type of community it is, and to continue to protect that community as we move forward.
All the candidates have been in a position of decision making and leading others. Mm-hmm. Different people lead in different ways.
Right.
How would you define your style of leadership?
Well, I think about in doing that, I think about my profession. I'm an insurance agent for State Farm Insurance, and have been for 25 years, but been in the insurance industry since 1974 in a number of different capacities. But part of my training there has been one where I counseled with clients to discover needs, and then to be able to provide solutions to those needs, or problems and solutions to those problems. I think as a leader with the town of Collierville, I kind of do the same thing, or have that same leadership quality of being able to look at the situation, determine what the need is or what the problem is, and then be very diligent about trying to find a solution to whatever that need might be or whatever that problem might be. Of course, one of the things that we have to do is work as a team. And many times, obviously, when you take different personalities and different dynamics into consideration, sometimes you're more successful than you are at other times. But I would think that, again, my leadership quality would be a hands-on, let's get in there and work, let's define what this issue is, define what our solutions or possible solutions might be, and then let's work on it and try to make some progress.
If elected, what are your goals and objectives?
Well, very early on in my first term as mayor, I set out three areas of strategic focus, and I will continue those three areas into my second term. The three areas are stewardship, safety, and service. And if I might just expound on that a little bit, under stewardship, there are actually two parts of that stewardship. One is financial stewardship, or we are stewards of the taxpayer dollar. And the second part of that is that we're stewards of the land and stewards of how that land developed. As I mentioned a minute ago, I go back to 1987 on the planning part of that and have followed through on the board with that. Safety is obvious. We all want to live in a safe community. Collierville is blessed to have an award-winning accredited police department that is, that I get compliments on every day about the type of service that they provide and safety that they provide to our citizens. The fire department would be the second part of that safety puzzle. I'm proud to tell you that every time a pumper leaves the fire station, there's a trained paramedic on board, because over 60% of our calls now are emergency medical calls. And the third part of that being the service part of it, I think, that one of the things in campaign promises that were fulfilled from my last campaign was the development of a Mayor's Action Center. And I'm very proud to tell you that that was in place shortly after the election. And I've had so many compliments from citizens who've told me that their concerns and that their needs had been heard. And not that everybody always got what they wanted, but they knew somebody was listening, and they knew that somebody was going to follow up on whatever their issue was.
If people vote for you, they're voting for what? What in a short sentence, what would you say? Well,
they'll be voting for much of the same of what they got the last 4 years, as I said. I've been very honored to serve and to represent the town of Collierville. I've tried to do that in a professional, knowledgeable way, and I hope that I've lived up to the voters' expectation. I've been on call basically for the media, for the print media, for radio, and for television. I've done any number of different interviews on consolidation of Memphis and county government, as well as consolidation and the forming of the unified school district. So I think that what citizens want is someone that's a good communicator, and that's what I've tried to be, and that's what I'll continue to be.
What vision for the town have the town leaders had for the past 2 years, and should it change, and if so, how?
Well, I think the vision has largely remained the same. We've not probably made as much progress the last couple of years as I would have liked to have seen for any number of different reasons, but the vision is something that's contained in our comprehensive plan and also in our land use plan. We have constantly updated our our comprehensive plan, made small changes to it along the way. We just went through a pretty extensive review and update of our land use plan. And both of those things tie back to the vision of Collierville being a safe community that provides the amenities that the citizens and services that the citizens tell us that they want, and then a community, I guess to sum it up, a community that's built for families, because that's truly what we are. So I intend to work toward that goal in the future.
The town has 10 different departments. In your opinion, which city department is performing at its highest performance level, and which one is at its lowest performance level?
Yeah.
And which department could use some improvement?
Okay. Well, let me kind of settle that or answer that question maybe with an example. Any number of times and just recently I had a resident send me an email, and the email said, Mayor, just have to compliment you on the sanitation department. And that's, he went on to say that the recycling form of part of our sanitation department had come by, and they weren't as neat as they might have been in putting the paper and the cans and that type thing into the bin. Well, a little while longer, or a little while later, one of our other sanitation trucks came by that picks up the bagged garbage and that type thing off the curb. And not only did they pick that up, but they went over and they cleaned up the mess kind of that the previous truck had left for them. And he was just talking about the pride of the workers that the town of Collierville had. Now, I gave you that example to answer it this way. I look at all the departments of the town as members of a team. Some of those members are higher profile members, kind of like, you know, we're in football season, kind of like the quarterback or the wide receiver or the fullback that makes or tailback that makes that great play. And then we have other members of that team that are kind of down in the trenches. And they're blocking and tackling and doing those things that make it possible for the higher profile player to get the headline, so to speak. So I think that we've got, all of our departments are great. I think some of our departments are higher profile departments, so they kind of get the limelight a little bit more, but the only reason why they do well is because of that support team that we have. So,
if elected, would you either want to keep or make any changes in the heads of departments to carry out your vision for the town? What do you anticipate?
Well, and that's, you know, as I said, I've been on the board since 1999. I've been involved in hiring many of the department heads that we have. And we've made over the years some changes there. Obviously, if you would ask me that question going into an election, the same question you might say is, well, why haven't you already made those changes? I think that we have some of the most professional, knowledgeable department heads that we can attract, especially at this particular time. We'll always have openings. We'll always have maybe changes in our structure, small changes in our, in the administrative structure of town government. And as we have had those in the past, we've made those changes. We'll continue to make those changes in the future. But I have all the confidence in the world in our town administrator and each department head that we currently have in place.
Citizens want an ethical government. In short, do you think there needs to be any changes made in the Collierville ethics policy?
Well, I think that probably, and that ethics policy is a model after one that has been put forward to us from the state. Ethics is not something you really legislate. If you stop and think about it, ethics, you either have it or you don't have it, in my mind. You're going to operate in an ethical manner, and nothing that's written down on a piece of paper is going to have very much bearing on what that is if you truly get into the ethics part of it. I think that if the board would want to put more teeth into the ethics policy that we currently have, we'll do that. But as I said, it's a model after what the state had given us when they required that an ethics policy be adopted by each municipality. We've been very diligent in working with our legal staff to have that policy in place, and then to monitor it.
What type of mayor best serves the town of Collierville? A political leader with a full-time administrator, or a full-time mayor who's an administrator or CEO for the town?
Well, that's a great question, and I guess I would answer it maybe a little bit differently today than I did 4 years ago. The mayor's job in the town of Collierville is a full-time job. Now, it's only part-time pay, but it's a full-time job. I spend plenty of hours each week and working on mayor's duties in addition to my own business duties. I think that on the other side of that as a mayor, if it were a full-time paid position, that I would still hire the best town administrator or best city manager that I could afford and that I could get in there, because those are people who have been educated to do what they do. They, our town administrator has a master's in town government and the things that he does and the things that he's good at. He's done it by having many years of education and as well as experience in doing those things. The finance director, the police chief, the fire chief, the head of our development department, our town engineer, our town planner. These are all professionals who've trained to do what we've done. So I think that it can work both ways. But I do think that as the town continues to grow, that the demands on the mayor's position, because people want to talk to the mayor, people want to interview the mayor, people want to invite the mayor to come to the PTA. I mean, you know, that type thing. They want to see the mayor. So, and that's good, and I've responded to that. But it is a real balancing act with your time constraints. In
your opinion, what are the top 3 values that you believe should guide the town government in its decision making? Yeah.
Well, obviously you've got, or you have those obvious ones, like you want someone who's truthful, and you want someone who's a person of high integrity. You want someone who is honest and someone that you can trust. And then, as something I mentioned a minute ago, I think that you need to have a good communicator, someone who is able to communicate with the citizens of the town of Collierville and communicate with others who might come to you. Another thing that I've really done and initiated as being mayor is trying to be more transparent in the meetings that we have, having the public's business done in public. I might mention that last night at the board meeting was the first night that we began live streaming, video streaming, that a person would be able to watch exactly what's going on the computer in real time and see government as it's operating. So again, I think a good communicator or even a great communicator is something that is really a quality that you need in a mayor today, especially with the things that we have going on in this municipality in coordination with the other municipalities in Shelby County government and state government.
Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Many times our strengths create our weaknesses. What would be your strengths and weaknesses?
Well, you know, again, I think that I am a good communicator, and I would put that again as a strength. I think that I am a person who likes to plan. And to lay out a roadmap for those things that need to be or that I would like to accomplish. I think I'm also very good at then, after establishing that plan, of being able to follow through with the plans. Not that you have to be hard and rigid, and not that you can't modify those plans or that you can't change as circumstances change, but again, you've got to have a plan and you've got to follow that plan. I think that is a trait that I have. Again, I love this town. It's and I would just hope that was obvious, and would want to do everything that I could to help us to prosper in the future as we have in the past.
If you could affect one change in the town government, what would it be?
Well, again, there's the obvious change. We'd always like to have more revenue that would allow us to do those things that our citizens tell us that, you know, or provide those services that our citizens tell us are important to us. I think that if as much as you can, to operate government in harmony and operate government as a team, where it's obvious that you're all on the same path, so to speak, and that you're on the same chord, is very important, and that's something that we really need to work on.
Has the town become more business friendly the past 4 years, and if so, what steps would you take to continue that progress?
Well, I'm told that we are, and if I go back 4 years, that's one of the things that it would kind of make my skin crawl anytime I heard that the town was not business friendly. Town government, myself especially, has really become more involved with the Chamber of Commerce and attending those functions with the Chamber of Commerce and being involved in that business community. There are a number of things that we've done on the town side that I hope have fostered that town-friendly atmosphere. A couple of the things that we've done, because everyone knows that we have very strict design guidelines, and we're very particular about what something's going to look like after it's built and after it's operated there. One of the things that we've done is we've changed our development process, where we allow now some administrative approvals, where everything doesn't have to go before a board or a commission. If it falls within those guidelines that have been set and adopted by the Planning Commission and then adopted by the Board of Mayor and Alderman, then that department head has the authority to grant administrative approval, or that team has the authority to grant administrative approval. I've been told by developers that that has decreased the amount of approval time from what might be 6 weeks down to 2 weeks or to 4 weeks in many cases, where something can be shown to the planners and, you know, construction started very soon. We've tried very diligently over the past 4 years, and, you know, the board has backed me up on this, and as has the Planning Commission, of being or gaining that reputation or overcoming that reputation maybe of being not as business friendly as some would think that we needed to be.
Norfolk Southern's opened their intermodal terminal as part of their Crescent Corridor project out at the edge of Piperton and Rossville.
Right.
One study says that could create 10,000 jobs.
Right.
How should the town react to the new intermodal terminal under construction, if at all?
Well, you know, I think it should be a very positive reaction, if anything, because, you know, those citizens who might, or those people, those workers who might come and be employed in Fayette County might choose to live in Collierville simply because of the amenities that are provided within our town. We have excellent schools, and we continue to be very vigilant in the protection of those schools. And we've got excellent retail shopping. We've got recreational opportunities for all ages in our parks and the other facilities that the town government provides. So Collierville's a very, very desirable place to live. And although someone might work in intermodal unit, they might choose to live in the town of Collierville. So I think that's very positive for that part of it. Then the effect that will have on other businesses, support businesses, might be where they would locate for possibly corporate headquarters of companies that would support that, as we have many in Collierville. I really think that it will be an economic boom for all of this area.
We've got a couple of questions on the new school district, which I know you could probably spend hours on. But tell us in short, what are the major political questions that the mayor and board of aldermen will face regarding this new school system? Right.
Well, of course, we're in a court case right now on that. And I have to go back a little bit really to answer this question, because, you know, this has been going on for a couple of years now. But one of the things that the citizens of the town of Collierville told us is that they want that local control. They encourage us to do what we can to maintain that local control. Government works best when it's closest to the people that it serves. And we don't think that, and our residents don't think, that becoming part of a mega school system gives us very much local control. That's something that we're pushing forward to. Our charter gives us the authority to have a municipal school district. Since 1998, there's been a moratorium on the creation of any municipal school districts or special school districts in the state of Tennessee. The Norris Todd bill that was passed a couple years ago, or Chapter 1, at the time it created the TCP, the Transition, or the TPC, the Transition Planning Commission, also, and set that merger deadline of August the 13th, of August of 2013. At that same time, it lifted the moratorium on municipal school districts and special school districts. So we've been planning toward that August the 13th date to have our municipal school district in place. The questions that will need to be answered are obviously the things that we're in court about right now. There's a question about the constitutionality of laws that were passed earlier this year. In that the law passed did not only affect Shelby County, but could and does affect other counties in the state of Tennessee. That's one part of it. And the other part of that lawsuit is the equal protection part of the lawsuit. We've got to be very in tune with what's happening there. When those issues are settled, we still have the issue of the school buildings that we'll have to deal with. And we feel that those school buildings are, as a Tennessee case law says, that the buildings are held in trust for the children, and so we believe that those buildings are held in trust for the education of our children. But that's a question that will also be answered, or need to be answered. So we're moving forward with that. It seems that there have been roadblocks along the way, and each time we hit that roadblock, it just increases my resolve to press forward with the creation of that municipal school district. 87% of our voters in the referendum told us that's the direction that they wanted us to go. And so I'm working toward that.
In general, do you expect the school board to ask for more money from the town? And if so, what would be your reaction?
The new school board, the municipal school board? Well, there's always that anticipation, and we don't have a crystal ball. We know what the studies show us, but we don't have a crystal ball to know what's going to happen in the future. Based on the study that was done by Southern Educational Strategies, the amount of revenue that will be generated, because the money follows the child, the same state money, the same county money, and the same federal money will follow that Collierville student just like it does any other Shelby County student. Based on that and the 15 cents that, or equivalent of 15 cents that the state requires, generates revenue of roughly $58.5 million. The expenses that are projected there are about $57.2 million. So we've actually got more revenue than what the study shows that we'll need currently. Now that doesn't include buying buildings or that type thing, but everything else is included in that. We also passed, or the voters passed, the referendum for the sales tax increase of 1/2 cent, and so which is the equivalent, or which would be 50 cents on a $100 purchase. That actually generates approximately $4.2 million. So we would have about $1.7, $1.8 million more than the required 15 cents just from that. Now, as we move along in years in our schools, there are many things that the citizens of the town of Collierville might want to be included in that school system. We've got award-winning schools currently, but there are always other things like the baccalaureate program that Germantown has, or other things that you can do that will enhance the educational experience of the children who go to those schools. That being the case, it may take more money than what is generated, and so that will be a point where the town will need to make a decision based on the input that we receive from our citizens and what they're willing to pay for, again, to determine if the school board will indeed get more money than what the minimum required or what the sales tax will produce for them.
There are a number of people running for the new school board positions. In short, what kind of candidate, what's the type of candidate you think would be a good fit for the school board?
Gee,
no names, I'm talking about just the type of person.
I understand. When I look at the interest that was generated over 5 positions on the school board, I think at one time we had 16 or 17 people who had actually pulled petitions and worked petitions to qualify for those positions through the election commission. And I think we're down to 14 or 15 candidates. Some of the races are going to be more heavily contested than other races. But out of those 14 or 15 people, based on my knowledge of most of them, the town of Collierville would be served well by the election of any one of those candidates. They bring to us experience from being past teachers. They bring to us experience of successful businessmen. They bring to us experience of the legal background. So there's
Thank you for coming in and visiting with us today.
Good morning, Ben. Appreciate you asking.
Tell us a little bit about who you are and your history of community involvement here in the town.
Okay. Well, I'm Carl Wayne Hardeman. That's what Mama called me, you know. So that's kind of what I go by. My family lives here. I have 2 married children and 4 beautiful, talented, smart, athletic grand darlings, and they all go to Collierville schools. We love this town, absolutely love this town, love all the amenities that we have, the sports and so forth. As far as community involvement, the things I've done directly in town is started the farmers market. And that's a great story to tell because it differentiates me from my opponent and how do you get things done and what are quality of life issues here in town. I also organize and lead the Collierville Victory Garden. The Victory Garden here in Collierville is a Tennessee State demonstration garden for sustainable vegetable production. We love having children out. We love having adults out and see how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Each year on 1/10 of an acre now, we raise roughly 4,000 plus pounds. This year we're 3,336 pounds on 1/10 of an acre. So those are community things. I have dreams of community gardens here in town and beyond that. So I ran for alderman 4 years ago, got 6,000 votes. I'm thrilled about that, and that's the way the town got the farmers market, is when the powers that be decided not to keep stalling me off and not giving me permission. It took 5 years asking for permission with them stalling me off, and that's the establishment I'm running against.
Okay. The town has over 480 employees with a total general budget in excess of $42 million. In your mind, what qualifies you for providing the political oversight for an operation of this size?
You know, I think what we have here is beautiful, and dedicated employees, and I don't have a bone to pick with any of that. In my 47 plus years experience in information technology, the last 27 at FedEx, I've run multi-million-dollar projects. I've run projects that had people spread out in FedEx data centers all the way across the United States. I've done that for another company here in town, Dobbs Lifesavers, many, many years ago. I've run multi-million-dollar budgets. So, a lot of people call me Farmer Carl, and that warms my heart when they tell me that. But actually, I've got a heavy, deep, long-time experience in management, and I understand managerial accounting and budgeting. I've taught business and economics at the university level for many, many, many years. So I believe I can do that. And the key to everything is having good people working for you, and being open with everyone about, hey, here's what's happening. And if it's not happening, everybody needs to know it. If it ain't going to happen, they need to know why. And that's missing today.
All the candidates have been in a position of decision making and leading others. Different people lead in different ways. How would you define the style of leadership in which you would lead?
That's a good one. They talk about theory X and theory Y and theory Z, with X being strict and Y being laissez-faire, and Z being doing what needs to be done. Some people need to be managed differently from others. Now, you can't paint with a broad brush and go in and say, well, I'm going to give everybody complete leeway, because some people really need to be on a short chain. So I think you as a manager are challenged with getting the most out of people then, I mean, while you have to be fair in the way you apply things, there's still ways of motivating people that are different by individuals. So I hope that answers your question.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Well, what are the top 3 values that you believe should guide the town in its decision-making process?
Well, you know, values, I'm not sure how to answer that about values. Certainly honesty and integrity and morality, and as has been quoted quite a bit in the press recently, you know, this idea that we don't work for the government, you know, the government works for us. So I think that the leadership needs to understand they are public servants, and when things come up and people have real concern, they need a way to keep that concern open and not allow the town to just sweep it under the rug, which they have done a lot. That's, like I said, one of my concerns is why I'm running.
Mm-hmm. In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of mayor?
Of mayor?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I believe town needs a full-time mayor. I'll, you know, just go on record and say that. You know, if they're full-time mayor, then certainly they have all the normal chief operating officer type of responsibilities, which includes hiring and firing, operational control of everyone. I think, you know, like Fred Smith says, you know, you can't manage what you can't measure. You know, so I think we need to run the town in terms of numbers. I think we need to be looking at statistical process improvement all the time. You know, and I think a leader needs charisma. It needs vision. As the good book says, without a vision, the people are dead. And these are troublesome times. You know, I'm reading Matthew 24:21 this week, where, you know, Jesus says that, you know, we're going to go through a time of tribulation before the end, and it almost looks like that if you pick up and read the newspaper today. If it's not food, it's the economy collapse, food prices, and escalating, so forth. So we need strong, visionary leadership who's very open about what all's going on, open and honest and accountable. Mm-hmm. And I believe in term limits, and for myself too.
Mm-hmm. In your opinion, what makes a good mayor or a bad mayor for the town of Collierville?
Well, I'll just say the opposite of what I just said. Mm-hmm. I mean, anybody who thinks they can run the town paternalistically, and that's being done right now.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of Alderman?
Well, the Alderman essentially is an approval board for things like code changes, for budgets. Certainly they help create the budget. I mean, that's what it is. It's an approval, and it's a voice of the people. Hopefully, that one last time before the town decides to do something, we get the voice of the people that is able to give an approval.
In your opinion, what makes a good alderman?
Well, it's someone who I think it's the same qualities as a mayor, in short.
Mm-hmm. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and sometimes our strengths create our weaknesses. What would be your strengths and weaknesses?
Sudoku puzzles. No, sir. I think I bring energy. I have a strong bias for action. I think I bring a vision when it has to do with things like you know, the farmers market I brought in, the Victory Garden, the fact that I want us to have a large community garden here in town. I would love to see the old warehouse district southeast of the square redeveloped. So I think I bring a vision to the table. I do bring a long, strong, in-depth understanding of management, of understanding of process improvement. I mean, I've been a computer programmer all this time. I understand high technology. I do understand green initiatives. And that's, to me, green issues are not tree hugging issues. They're things that make economic sense. They're things that save the town money, save our citizens' money, and so forth. And I think part of the vision I bring that's strong, in my opinion, is I have a lot of good relationships with the underserved portion of the community, and I'll be speaking to them tonight. You know, you can go down to Harris Cove, go down here to Sunflower, and you look at the curbs and streets there, and then drive over to Halley Plantation, and that'll make my point for you. I've been standing in Miss Julia Ferguson's yard and yet another rain and mid-calf deep in water, and the town was telling her, and I was there when they told her, you have to have patience on these things. We'll get to it. And so I asked Miss Julia and Miss Goodman over there, how long have you been complaining about this? Oh, 30 years. So I think I bring an appreciation for the fact that we're a very diverse town. We have all kinds of economic stratas here in town. We have various races. I'm friends with the Indian community. There's a large one, Indian community, who do want, by the way, a community garden. So I think I bring support and understanding for a very underserved portion of our community.
In your opinion, what's the financial state of the town? Is it healthy?
It's, relatively speaking. I mean, healthy to me is no debt, but it's healthy. Miss Jane Bevel does a good job in keeping everybody informed and things. The town has, obviously they had to go into a lot of debt for the new sewage treatment plant, but relative to most other communities, it's sound.
If you could affect one change in town government, what would it be?
In short, it would be open and accountable.
Since 2008, what decisions have been made by the town's mayor and board that you think are unwise?
Spending over $1 million on some turf when they says we're out of money and have to raise taxes. Well, duh. I mean, I want the turf as much as anybody. My kids enjoy all those benefits, but you know what? I want a vacation in Hawaii too. But I do, I manage my money and I do the things that that we have to do, and kind of scale back my expectations. We're spending $250,000 on some new lights. That's like telling my family we're not going on vacation, we're putting a new chandelier in the living room, because we'll get a little better light.
A lot of progress has been made in making the town more business friendly. What steps would you take to continue this progress?
The business, that's a facade they put up. That's a facade. Business friendly. We have the only Zaxby's rooster in the south part of the universe here that doesn't have a red head. Now there's that business, 3 square inches of red paint, and they were going to stop that business from putting in a sign. Now you tell me that's business friendly. Tell me why the whole around the back of Walmart, tell me why that's not full of restaurants and all this stuff. The fact of the matter is town codes are draconian. Now why I support things like garish signs, not having garish signs. There's a super highway being built around town right now. Mr. Adair is going to build 2,000 houses out in Piperton, up at Spring Creek. Up here they're going to put 700 houses outside of our town. So does that mean we have to compete? When you compete, sometimes you do things that you really doesn't fit your ideal vision, but frankly we're in competition, and I think we need to review all the town codes one by one and look for green opportunities, look for opportunities that make sense, that really make sense in terms of economics and attracting business here.
What role do you see the local Chamber of Commerce playing between the town and the business community?
Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I'm not a member. certainly want to join, but most of the time the businesses I've done have been small. Certainly I know it's well run. I know Mark White. He taught my children when they were small. It couldn't get a better leader than Fran. But that's about what I know about that.
Collierville is now in a more competitive environment for economic growth.
Amen.
In the Collierville vision and guiding principles, it states that the community has reinforced this principle of a fiscally responsible town government by attracting more national and regional corporate headquarters. Is economic development a priority for you?
Well, you know, I think the right way to say that is raising town revenues to support the quality of life we'd like to have. Is that important to me? Absolutely. Do I believe that it needs to be zoned? You know, things like out around Progress Road, we would put things that we wouldn't put in other places. So do I support increasing tax revenues by expanding the tax base? Absolutely. But that's the right way to answer that question.
At the present time, there's not a dedicated economic development employee. Do you have any plans to fund an economic development position and to fund an implementation of an economic development plan?
You know, if you're asking me would I write a blank check, absolutely not. Would I explore other ways of doing it, such as use you know, various like let's call a group of people from around town, businesses that are interested, and let's try to get it without spending $250,000. Certainly, I can tell you this: if we decide to do the plan, we're not going to go looking everywhere but Collierville for someone to do that. So I think that's the way I'd like to answer that.
Over the last 4 years, what growth has occurred because of the strides taken by the town creating a more business-friendly environment? Have there been any in your mind?
I'm not saying there's been no new development, but it hadn't been enough to crow about. And I'm not blaming the town when I said that. We do know that we're on the, in my opinion, we're on the downslope of an economic business cycle.
The town's adopted the Collierville 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The plan use will result in a better town of Collierville. A key aspect of any land use plan is how it's carried out. Can you state how the town might best accomplish the policies contained in the Comprehensive Land Use Plan?
Okay, that's a good question. When I read it, it was clear that they were banking on infill building, and certainly, while I like the pastures and the soybean fields and things like that in town, I like that too. But I do understand expanding the tax base with new development and so forth. But their banking, apparently the only thing I can see is the quality of life from living in Collierville, because we hopefully, and I strongly support that, we'll have our own municipal school system. We have a very attractive, we have a wonderful, witness what we're doing today, school system. And certainly we can, you know, if we get that, and I sure hope we do, and I'm going to fight as hard as I can for it, then we'll be a much more attractive community. The other thing that I would have done differently, I think it ignored the underserved portion of town. Now, these people will tell me, and I understand that others don't understand, is they're saying things like, there's no affordable housing. When my children grow up and they want to live in Collierville, there's no affordable housing at our income level. And I think the town has not actively supported that. My opponent, who's a builder, is not actively trying to help the underserved community at all with the issues of affordable housing and so forth. In fact, you know, the town has historically built businesses all around the Nicky McRae Park and Harris Street and so forth, with impunity, and where they would not allow those same ones out in where I live, for instance.
Norfolk Southern's opened the first intermodal terminal as part of its Crescent Corridor project out at the edge of Rossville and Piperton. With future expansion, the Rossville terminal will cover over 400 acres with 6 loading tracks and 2,000 parking spaces. According to a University of Tennessee study, this development could create 10,000 jobs. How should the town react to the new large intermodal terminal under construction at the edge of Piperton and Rossville?
Yeah, well, you know, like the Supreme Court said some 60, 70 years ago, trains have eminent domain, so you're not going to stop it, okay? It's kind of exciting. Have you been over there? I've gone in and driven. You can go in from Highway 72, and I wish there was an a parking space and overlook there where you could take your kids and watch the trains coming in, the trucks, and so forth. Certainly, I mean, that brings an issue. It doesn't really, from a traffic standpoint, except reducing the number of trains coming through Collierville. They go out on 72, they're going to go then get on the 269, which, by the way, they're already building. Now, if you've seen, they're putting in an overpass over Keogh Road right now. So, should we embrace it? You know, well, I think you need to understand the what are the income levels typically of people who work in those kind of logistical jobs and train jobs, and if you want them to live in Collierville, then we're going to have to construct housing that's affordable for that for that group. Otherwise, they buy houses in Piperton Hills, they buy houses out at Spring Creek or whatever. So we can embrace it. You know, there's been some talk about taking the corridor between Collierville and Rossville, and that becomes you know, another Wolf River. I'm not Wolf River. Excuse me, a Germantown Parkway. You know, that potential exists. So you know, that's it.
The school system has a major impact on the quality of life for families in Collierville. The creation of the Collierville school district's not been decided upon yet. Right now, the trial over the school districts in Shelby County is delayed and will reconvene in the courtroom of U.S. District Judge Samuel Hardy Mays on September 20th, I think. What are the major political questions that the alderman will face regarding the new school system?
Well, you know, I don't think the community will oppose it at all. I think the idea of the school system, given what we have today and the success that we've had today, is widely embraced, at least within the people I talk to. So I think we are stand ready for the fight, but it'll be a fight. The political realities are the Memphis people have said they'll take it as far as they have to within the courts. It will, I mean, the worst things that can happen is it drag it out for years and years, and it costs the town millions of dollars. Certainly that will have to be looked at. I mean, I don't have any short answers other than as long as the town of Collierville citizens support this, I certainly do, then we'll fight it all the way till there's nothing left to fight.
What do you believe should be the qualifications for a school board member?
I think you need to be involved in the school system. You know, if you don't have kids in the school system, I think that disqualifies you. You know, all the normal things about being moral, open, honest, not dictatorial, but participative, leadership, have vision, and one of the principles of management that's often overlooked is the idea of courage. the idea of doing the right thing, even in the face of taking a personal hit or, you know, but doing the right thing. So I think just, I mean, it's a management position, so all the normal things that, and certainly the better leadership, the better. So it's like, I like what Teddy Roosevelt said when he was fixing to charge up San Juan Hill. You know, he said that, and he wanted to be that kind of leader. He said, when I'm charging up that hill, I don't want to have to look back and see if any of you are there or not, you know.
What role does the Board of Mayor and Alderman have with the Collierville Municipal School Superintendent and the school board?
With the
What
they have?
What will they have?
I don't know if that's been worked out yet, and I think that needs a lot of deliberation.
Crime is an issue on the minds of all citizens. What, if any, changes do you think are needed in the police department to address crime concerns?
You know, we need the best police force and first responders all the way around that we can have, everything we can afford to have the best pay system to attract them, the best equipment. All of that's very meaningful to me. Now you ask, what would I do? You know, what different? Well, high tech as much as possible. You know, I'm definitely not a big brother type, but I think we need to have cameras for all main entrances and exits of town, so that if crime occurs here, assuming that it was not a local that did that, at least we have some record of, you know, when it amazed me a while back when we had, they were reporting every few days a car broken into at the Prairie Fitness Center. Well, you know, this is year 2012. You know, we can put cameras in hotspot area. There's a lot of things high tech we can do. And
fire protection is an important issue for citizens. What, if any, changes do you think are needed in the fire department to better serve the citizens?
I don't know that I have anything that would improve it. I know it falls under emergency preparedness, but I would like for to know already that they tell me if we take some sort of lightning strike, knocks out the water pumps, where is my assembly point? For my street, where is my assembly point? Where can I expect to go get bottled water? I don't want to wait till then and then make all those decisions. But today, that information is not available to me of what we would do in various kinds of things. So perhaps instead of some commission, the right people to address that would be the fire department. They're good people. I know quite a few of them.
Well, we sure appreciate you being willing to run for public office and all the work that it takes, and thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, man. You know, I knew your daddy, you know, over at Clark Tower.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. 4, 3. Well, John, thanks for coming in today.
Oh, good morning, Ben. How you doing today?
Doing just fine. Tell us a little bit about who you are and your history of community involvement.
My name's John Worley. I've been in Collierville since '83 in the business. Moved out here in 1985. I've raised a family of 6 children, and I've been involved with been on the Planning Commission since 2007. Been involved with the 2004 plan for the future of Collierville. I was involved a few years back on the 2020 plan. I was involved in the site selection committee for the YMCA, and involved with the I-269 plan as it come through Collierville.
The town has over 480 employees with a general fund budget in excess of $42 million. What qualifies you to provide the political oversight to serve in the office you're running for?
Well, I've run a business since 1976, a home building business, and been involved in development. When times were good, we run as many as 250 to 300 employees at a time. So we're able to provide for payroll and been able to have a balance of budget and do all that for a business. So I feel I'm well qualified in dealing with budgets, working with people, and I think that is what I've been doing.
Mm-hmm. All the candidates have been in a position of decision making and leading others. Different people lead in different ways. How would you define your style of leadership?
Well, it's just like the way I do. We did our campaign. I told all the people that are on our campaign, you got to take care of your family first, and you need to take care of your business. Our campaign's secondary, and so I'm positive this election comes third to the people on my committee. They got to take care of those people first, and also I want to create a lot of volunteerism with people in the town. It takes the volunteers to make this town happen. It can't be just elected officials only.
Mm-hmm. What are the top 3 values you believe should guide the town in its decision making?
Ooh, you're limited to 3. That's pretty hard. I would probably say that schools is top. Getting our own municipal school district is probably the most important thing for the town of Collierville at this point, and we're going to do what it takes to fund those operations. We got challenges ahead, getting our own school board and getting all those things running. So this is a good time to get that done. And I'd say probably second, that we got to create smart growth that creates a positive environment for our businesses as well as our residential communities. We're very fortunate we got a strong tax base because we're getting income and property taxes and sales taxes to our industrial, our retail and commercial, as well as residential. So we have a strong tax base there. And then we got to have a government that's willing to sit down and work with people and understand their needs and work through their issues. But we also got to have a balance, be able to create a balanced budget and be fiscally responsible for the taxpayers' money. And I think they don't want us to just throw money away. They want us to really look at it hard, and I plan to do that.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of mayor?
Well, the office of mayor is to be a leader. We have a town administrator that does a lot of the running of the government. The mayor's position is a part-time position, but it seems like with the municipal school district fight, it's been a full-time position. I think we've, the mayor needs to lead the town, needs to be in the forefront. He needs to direct the town and get with the people that are working through he and the town administrator and make sure that everybody is doing their jobs properly.
In your opinion, what makes a good mayor?
A good mayor is a good leader, a person that can communicate, that understands, even though it's a part-time position, that it's almost a full-time job. That you got to be able to direct the town, be able to lead the meetings. You got to be able to communicate with your directors, and everybody be on a positive approach for the citizens of Collierville.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of alderman?
As an alderman, you got to take, everybody takes it a different way. I look at it as I'm representing the whole town. Everybody says, you're running for position 3. Well, what area is that? Well, position 3 represents all of Collierville, and that's what I plan on doing, is represent all Collierville, not one particular area or faction or whatever. And I think through my involvement in the community, with the planning commission and all the committees that I've been involved with, another one that I've been on has been the initial first one about historic Collierville, downtown Collierville. I was on that committee also. And I've had to meet with various different groups in different areas to find out their wants, their needs, their problems. We just got through on the I-269 corridor, and we got people that aren't residents of Collierville. We had to meet with them to see what their concerns were, because they will be residents. So as an alderman, I plan on being there, and nobody makes my decision. John Worley makes a decision what he thinks is best for Collierville.
In your opinion, what makes a good alderman?
One that listens. You don't, as a planning commission member, I've always go into each individual meeting and say, I think I know how I'm going to vote. However, I've changed the way I think about a particular item by listening to the other planning commissioners. they bring out a insight that I may not have seen when I read our packets. They may know something about a particular area or problem that I've never heard of, and then plus our staff is very good. They research areas, and I try to ask the staff plenty of questions. So does John Worley ever come in there, know how he's going to vote? Well, I have a good feeling how I vote, but I never make a decision on a vote until I get in there and hear all the stuff that's presented by the town administration, our officials, and staff, as well as I want to hear what the other people on our commission have to say.
Everybody has strengths and weaknesses, and many times our strengths create our weaknesses. What would be your strengths and weaknesses?
Let me think here. My strengths are, I think, like I say, I'm a good listener. I'd rather do more listening to start off before I analyze a problem. A lot of people, they want to do too much talking. Well, people say I do talk a lot. You got no ham. I do talk a lot, but I'm passionate about what I do for the town of Collierville. I love it. I live it. I've been out here. People see me out here from daylight to dark. This is where I make a living. I know the town. I know the town infrastructure. I think that's probably my strongest thing is I know the town infrastructure, what size water lines, what size sewer lines. I've been able to deal with providing location and dealing with this, bringing in 2 elementary schools and dealing with the schools to provide sites, deal with infrastructure, with utilities. I think that'll be a strong asset to the board. And weaknesses, well, everybody's got weaknesses. I could probably name quite a few. I think a weakness is not being able to understand everything fully. When I say understand things fully, I know pretty well all the directors and all the departments. I've had to deal with those for the last probably 25 years. As new directors have come in departments, I've met them, I know them, they know me. So I think I step in, but I'd like to know they're better and know some of the inner workings of the town that I haven't been privy to, because just being a citizen for Collierville, sometimes you don't know some of the stuff in budgeting that goes on behind the scenes. I've never been in a budget meeting, even though I've budgeted my own company business, and I know how to make budgets and I know how to be strong in that issue, but I need to learn more about how they sit in that meeting for 8 hours a day or on Thursdays, I think, and when they're doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, what is the financial state of the town? Is it healthy?
Oh, our town is extremely healthy. I think that with our credit rating, our bond rating, I think we're one of the top 2, I think, in the whole state. I think us and Franklin, I believe, and Brentwood, and I believe in Germantown, all 4 of us, I think, all have a similar bond rating. That helps us able to borrow money at cheap rates, and borrowing money at cheap rates basically will help us to fund our government at a lot less interest. People will be willing to invest in any bonds we put out in the future. So we're real strong. I'm proud of the bond rating the town's achieved over the last few years. So I'll give credit to the past administrations and aldermen for doing so.
If you could affect one change in town government, what would it be?
I'd like to see the town government, in the Home Builder Association, what we do is we do what's called a retreat. And we get together, even though we're competitors in business, and it's like aldermen are, I don't want to consider them competitors, but they have their own ideas. There are certain issues that the alderman and mayor need to be real strong on. For example, the schools. They got to learn to work together to create the funding for the schools, and got to remember that the town elected all of them, not just one of them, and so they got to learn to work together. So I'd like to see some kind of involvement, a retreat or a group meeting where they're able to talk issues out. Everybody's going to have their own opinions, and that's what we want for the town of Collierville. But in the same sense, there's certain issues regards to schools and stuff that need to be treated each other in a fair-like manner.
Since 2008, have there been any decisions made by the town mayor and aldermen that you think were unwise?
I'm sure there probably has been. Overall, I think they have done well. I just, I like to see the group. Everybody has their own opinions about certain things, and I'll have mine. I respect each individual person that's on on the board. Is there any unwise ones? I'm sure there are, but off the top of the head, I'd have to look back at some of the decisions they've made.
Has the town become more business friendly in the past 4 years? And if so, what steps would you take to continue this positive progress?
I think the town has become very, very business friendly. Being out there in the business world, Collierville was perceived for a while as not friendly to the businesses, and a lot of people were hesitant on moving the business out there. It's too tough to put a sign. It's too tough to, they slap your hand for this, they slap your hand for that. So town of Collierville was known as not a friendly business community for a long time. But I think as the town's grown, everybody's realized that the business community has to be strong, because we got to create tax dollars from not only the property taxes but the sales taxes from these businesses, and they employ people. Bringing people to town with jobs creates money back in our coffers that we're able to support all the municipal expenses we have, like a strong Parks and Rec. We've got a strong Parks and Recs. The kids enjoy it. We're creating just various different things. Our sanitation public works department, they just got a grant the other day for, I think, over $1 million. And what it is people don't realize that our staff behind the scenes in our tough economic environment has been able to get well over $2-3 million in grants. So that's not money that we're going to have to get in supplies as citizens. We're able to get grant money, and that's because of a strong, I think, department heads getting grant money.
Mm-hmm. What role do you see for the local Chamber of Commerce playing between the town and the business community?
I've been involved on the chamber board. I think I'm in my, I believe, 6th year this year. So I've seen 6 different presidents. We got a strong leader in Fran Persicchini. Basically, she's been up there fighting for us with the Board of Mayor and Alderman to get funding. We've had Terry Cochran's been a good leader in the past, working with business and retention. So not only are we trying to get new members as part of the chamber, we're trying to retain the ones we currently have and trying to find out their needs and wants. Before, I think, this was done, we try to get as many members, but we also want to retain the membership. And the membership in a tough economy like it's been is steadily grown since I've been on there for the last 5 years. So I think the chamber's worked hard. They got great personnel. There's also, I think, it's a good chamber board that works hard to bring in new business, but also retain the current ones we have.
The growth of business in Collierville will lower the tax burden for homeowners and create a more balanced town. How important is economic development to you?
Oh, economic development, that's one of my probably 3 main points. People don't realize that we have industrial, just providing jobs, bringing in money, and paying good property taxes. We have our commercial retail. A lot of people group industrial and commercial retail together. They need to be separated. So we have our what I call a retail commercial office, and they're providing jobs, income, property taxes, and those people are able to work here and create an environment that brings tax dollars, people buying food, buying their every needs. When I first moved out here, there were probably 3 named restaurants. Now we have every major chain out here. And before, I'll be honest with you, I went to Germantown and Cordova just to find a place to eat practically some of the times. But now there's no reason for me to go past Forest Hill Irene Road. We have everything within 2 or 3 miles of our town.
At the present time, there's not a dedicated economic development employee of the town. Do you think the town needs a dedicated employee?
In the chamber, we've talked about having a person in charge of bringing and developing new businesses to come to the town. And I feel like the town needs to have that person. The chamber can only do so much of bringing businesses there, so it throws the role back on the mayor, the alderman, and the chamber to a certain extent. But there's so many of them have so many things they got to do for the town. I think it'd be good to have a person that's on the payroll for the town to bring in economic development. Right now, it's been a shared kind of responsibility between the town and the chamber, but there needs to be money appropriated somewhere to create somebody that's got the experience. There's no need of getting somebody that's, that doesn't have the experience. I'd rather leave the position open and let our town officials and let the chamber and meet with people to bring people here. But if we have the right person at the right time, I think we can fund that. But if it's not the right person, right time, it doesn't need to be funded.
Mm-hmm. Over the last 4 years, what growth has occurred because of the strides the town has taken to make a more business-friendly environment? Are there businesses that have moved or expanded in Collierville because of their efforts?
I think so. Terry Cochran owns a company called Exact Commerce. They were in a smaller office, and he over there near, I believe, near Keogh and Mount Pleasant area, and he loves Collierville. He brought his business here. He expanded and built probably one of the nicest, most economically friendly businesses here. So he brings products in from all over the world and operates out of there. I've been there and experienced. He's got a great showroom there. He's got just state-of-the-art kind of business. So I think that there are businesses that want to move to Collierville. There are ones that want to expand. Jason Cruz just brought his company business. I don't know I call it Memphis Glove. That's what I've always heard it as. But they just building their corporate headquarters in Schilling Farms. It's going to have roughly 200 employees. So we're excited to get that for the town of Collierville. Mm-hmm. So there are companies wanting to move here. I think once we get to our own municipal school district, companies are really going to be wanting to bring their employees here. And then fortunately we got the commercial as well as industrial land for those companies to build here in the future.
The town's adopted the Collierville 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The plan's use will result in a better town of Collierville. A key aspect of any land use plan is how it's carried out. Can you tell us how you think the town should carry out the policies that are in the Comprehensive Land Use Plan?
I was involved as one of the probably 20 people that were involved in the 2040 plan. What we did is there was a group of citizens that and people on the Planning Commission. I think I had 3 colleagues of the Planning Commission on there on the 2040 plan, and what we decided to do is this was not a short process. It probably went over 6 or 8 months, and what we did is we looked at the existing plan that I was involved with on the 2020 vision, and we looked at it and see where changes have been made, on the 2020 plan. Then we looked forward to the future areas that hadn't been annexed or areas, and see we can't change zoning. That's our group couldn't change zoning, but I was one of the voting members, and we had a strong group of people on there that were well involved with the community, and the 2040 plan lays a vision out for everybody to look at. It's something when somebody comes in town is they can see what this area should be. This is commercial, this is residential, and I think it is a good guideline for anybody that's thinking about moving here or putting a business here to see what's planned for the future.
Norfolk Southern is opening its new intermodal terminal as part of its Crescent Corridor project at the edge of Piperton and Rossville. One study says this development could create 10,000 jobs. What do you think should be the town's response to this new development to the east?
Wow, we talked about what the effect of the Norfolk Southern coming into town, their rail facility, and would it be the benefits as well as the things that could hurt our town. Well, one thing is I think it'll create a lot of jobs for that area, but it'll also bring the people back here to live. It'll create other subsidiary businesses that say, hey, they got an intermodal yard there, we're going to put a warehouse either in Collierville, we're going to put a warehouse in Piperton, and they're going to have then the people that support those warehouses or those businesses, they'll move to Collierville, build subsidiary businesses. So I think you'll see some high-tech companies that may have a warehouse there, but also moving some of their people to this area, whether they settle in Collierville or Piperton. I think it'll really create our tax base, even though it'll help Piperton, it'll help us, and we're neighbors. It's something we got to work together, and so hopefully both towns benefit from that.
The school system has a major impact on the quality of lives of families in Collierville, and the new Collierville Municipal School District is on the horizon. What are the major political questions that the alderman will face in regard to the new school system?
Well, funding is going to probably be one of the biggest issues, is how to fund the school system. And I plan as an alderman to be able to fund these schools. That's a necessity. We've got to find a way to fund the schools. And a lot of people haven't talked, but and it's never hit the horizon, but in meeting with various homeowners that I sold houses to, I've talked to them, and they said, John, man, that's the greatest thing that's going to ever happen. That's going to raise our property values. That's going to be great for everybody. I think people will be really surprised at the volunteers when you have your own school system, and that you're able to say, that's our school system. It's not, where the money is going to when it's given. So I've talked to a lot of individuals that basically said, if we have our own school system, I don't mind giving more to it, because I know the money is going toward our schools. I had one homeowner say, I'd pay $600, because I know extra year just for my kid to go to school. We're not asking for people to give money to. That's not the case. But I think you have more people want to volunteer. And I think you got a lot of generous people in this town. If they know the money is going for the town, they've lived here so long, or they plan on living a legacy, I think we'll get a lot of donations to our own school system. People are going to be really surprised for. But as an alderman, we're going to find a way to fund the schools, and that's going to be a major issue for us, and we're going to get it done.
The new school district will have a new school board, and we've not elected school board members yet in Collierville. What do you believe should be the qualifications for a school board member?
Well, first off, I think they got to understand that they're representing the whole town, and when they do that, they got to find a way to have school systems adequate to take for everybody, and I think they got to work together. They don't need to be confrontational. I think they need to, first off, it's going to be a challenge to get the school board going and it's a lot of work going to be done before we take over the schools. But I'm sure that we'll elect, 5 good school board members, and that they'll be able to tackle the situations. And there'll be a lot of work in between the alderman and them to fund the schools. We'll see their needs. We'll try to fund the needs, but also it's just going to be a joint effort between the two. And but I think they'll tackle it in the proper manner. They just got to learn to work together on the front end. I think all of the people that I see running seem to want to do that, and I think that's going to be great for the town.
What fiduciary role does the mayor and board of aldermen have with the new school superintendent and the new school board?
Well, I'd like to see the school board do all the interviewing, starting out for who needs to be elected as a school board superintendent. They do the interviewing. That's what we're electing the officials to do, to kind of run the school system. We got to support it financially. Do we have a role in maybe helping pick that person? Yeah, small role, but I'd rather let the school board, the people that we're electing to run our schools, make that decision, and I think we need to support their decision.
Mm-hmm. Crime is an issue in the minds of a lot of citizens. What, if any, changes do you think are needed in the police department?
I don't see many changes at all. I'm very, very happy with our police department. I think they've done a tremendous job. I'm sure they need funding on certain other ways to improve certain circumstances, and I'd like to hear those as we go forward. But I've had, just like anybody in industry, you hear of crimes, but just like the crime they solved and tackled at the Walgreens out here in Collierville, I mean, there was 5 police cars in there in like 2 minutes or whatever, and they called all those, and they were responsible for robberies all over the South. And so I think they did a tremendous job, and they do a good job.
Fire protection is also an important issue for citizens. What, if any, changes do you think need to be made in the fire department to better serve residents?
That's another department that I think is extremely run well. What we need is another fire station basically on the southeast corridor of Collierville. That needs to be built, I think, in the next few years because we'll cover as we grow further east and south. We need to have another fire station there, so we need to provide the funding for there. I think they work good together as a team. They support each other. You realize how I've been to 2 or 3 fires that friends of mine have had, and I've seen Germantown, I've seen Shelby County. They come out here and assist. But when I was out here, we had 2 fire stations when I first moved out here. Now we have 5, and before we never had a ladder truck to reach up to hit these new 2-story houses. Now they can tackle any fire that we got, out here in Collierville. They're really well prepared.
Well, John, thank you for your public service and for running for office.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, Jimmy, thanks for coming in today.
Well, you're quite welcome. I appreciate the opportunity to come in and take your time and the town's time, and also the chamber. I appreciate what the chamber's doing by doing this.
Well, thank you. We're interested in learning more about you and what's important to you. Tell us some about who you are and your history of community involvement.
Well, I'm Jimmy Lott, and I've lived in Collierville for some 42 years. Was in business out here for 38 years in the glass business, and sold my business 4 years ago. And since then, I've really haven't done a whole lot except just take life easy. But I don't know how I had time to work because I got more things to do now than I did when I was working. But before that, I've served on the board out here first served on the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then I served on the Planning Commission, and then I've served on the board, and somewhere in the vicinity with all of them, somewhere around 30 years. And so I feel like if I don't know what I need to know, then I know enough to be dangerous anyway.
Well, the town's grown a lot over that time. It has the government now has over 480 employees and a general fund budget in excess of $42 million. So tell us about, in your mind, what qualifies you to have the political oversight over an operation of that size? Well,
I have been, like I say, been on the board for a good while. When I first started out on the zoning appeals, we had something to the tune of 10,000 people. So I've seen the town grow from the 10 to the 50,000 that we got now, and I've seen to where we are managed the money well enough that years ago when I first came on the board, we had to borrow money to operate off of because we didn't have any money back for bad times or anything like that. Today we have a 25% override, or that we have stored back that we can go to and use out of, and then we always try to keep at least 25% of the budget on hand at all time.
All candidates have been in a position of decision making and leading others. Different people lead in different ways. How would you define the style of leadership that you use?
I guess the kind of leadership that I use, Ben, would probably be the fact that I like to get involved in what I'm doing. So by leading, I like to lead by example. I think if you have got people working for you, I'd like to say I was in business for 38 years, and I don't think there was ever a man that worked for me that I couldn't do what he did, and I wouldn't ask a man to do something that I wouldn't do myself.
What are the top 3 values that you believe should guide the town in its decision-making process?
Well, I think we should be what's the expenses as far as the town's money. It's not our money we spend, it's the people of the town, and that would be my number one thing. We need to continue to provide the amenities that we have worked up to provide now, and you can have a get-together, a meeting with the citizens of the town, and they'll all tell you that they'd rather see you raise the tax a little or do something like that rather than cut the amenities, because we do have a great thing going there.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of mayor?
Well, the mayor is the chief operator of the town. City administrator is the one that runs the day-to-day business, but the mayor has the duty of being in charge of what goes on far as the board and the mayor of Alderman are concerned.
In your opinion, what makes a good mayor?
Someone that understands what's going on with the town and is willing to get out and work with the town and work with the people of the town and show interest in them, and that to me is the main thing, is to show your interest, that you're interested in whatever problem people have. You need to have an answer for it.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of alderman?
Well, I think the role of the alderman, as it has been for us, I think over the years, is the fact that whatever the mayor needed as far as assistance was concerned, we would go out and look at the project or look at the idea. And I think that you're not looking for someone to serve as alderman as a yes man. You're looking for people to serve as alderman, have their own ideas. And I think if you express your idea or follow through with it, then you lose whatever you're trying to express or whatever you're trying to get over to people. Then when you get through with the thing, it's over with. Let's go home and start again tomorrow.
In your opinion, what makes a good alderman?
Someone that will go out and see what the people need. If they call you up and say, I've got a drainage problem, or if they call you up and say, I've got water running out from under my house. I mean, a lot of times you know it's not going to be the city's fault, but you still need to go check on these things.
Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Many times our strengths create our weaknesses. What would be your strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I think the strength would probably be the experience that I've had of running a business, working with people, and working on the town boards and with all of them, even from the zoning appeals to the planning commission and even through the board. Understanding and listening to people's problems. You can't always solve their problem, but they appreciate if you've got time to stop and listen to them. Probably my weakness is I want to do more for them than we can really do.
In your opinion, what is the financial state of the town? Is it healthy?
Financial state of the town is real healthy. We at the present time are a AAA rated town. There's only 3 AAA rated towns in the state of Tennessee, so we happen to be one of those 3.
If you could affect one change in town government, what would it be?
Well, that's hard to look at just on the top of your head, but I don't see a whole lot of things I would want to change. I think that I would want to continue. This doesn't change anything, but I would want to continue to give the people the amenities they have now. And if we see something that they need and they want to spend the money for, then we need to look into it, do these things if we can.
In the past 4 years, have there been any decisions made by the mayor and board of aldermen that you think were unwise now looking back?
Not that many, you know what I mean? You see a few little odd things come along, but not something I would say major.
Has the town become more business friendly in the past 4 years?
Yes, sir. Much more. We've changed the way that we work permits and so forth. We've got it now so that some of the staff can work some of the smaller stuff and don't have to go through planning commission. It can be shortcut through there. It's not taking away from anything we've done over the years as far as the planning and quality is concerned, but at least it gives the builders and the people that's trying to do a small addition or something the opportunity not to have to go through all the bells and whistle things.
What role do you see the local Chamber of Commerce playing between the town and the business community?
Well, the Chamber of Commerce, I think we work real well with them. We provide some help with them money-wise, monetarily, and also they help with gaining new businesses and so forth in the town. And I think as long as you've got someone working with you like that, we don't have, per se, a person that's out trying to generate new business, but the chamber hears about things and we'll get with them or they'll get with us, and we all work on it together.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be a real good working relationship.
The growth of business in Collierville will lower the tax burden for homeowners and create a more balanced town. How important is economic development to you?
It's very important. You're right about that. The more business you get in town, the lower the tax rate can go. Of course, we've come to a slow time in the country's economy right now, but even at that, we're still picking up a few stores here and a few businesses there and so forth. And every time you pick one up, that's a little more tax, and the more tax you get, and the more, if we get back to building again, right now we're not building very many houses like we were at one time, but if we get back to where we're building several houses, that's going to help too, because you're going to have more houses to work through, and you're also going to the more housetops you get, the more commercial business you're going to have come to town.
At the present time, there's not a dedicated economic development employee for the town. Do you think that there should be one sometime in the future? And
well,
so,
we have talked about it, but right now it's just one of those things that I don't think anyone has the finances to put together at the present time.
Over the last 4 years, what growth has occurred because of the strides taken with the town taking a more business-friendly environment? Have there been businesses that have moved or expanded in Collierville?
We've had a few businesses to move, but then most of them have expanded. We've had Macy's, for instance, is just opening up a new department out there, a home goods department in their store, which they haven't had, and I think that will help them. And we've had Lowe's come to town in the last 4 years, so we've had several larger businesses come to town, restaurants.
The town's adopted the Collierville 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The plan's use will result in a better town of Collierville. A key aspect of any land use plan is how is it carried out. What action or steps do you think the town should take to carry out that land use plan?
Well, I think you've got to set your mindset that you want to carry out these things, and I think the last land plan we had a mindset, and we can see how it's grown, you know, with the mall coming to town and the way things were being placed around, and the effectiveness of building houses in certain spots and businesses in certain spots. And I think that's what you're going to see in the 2040 plan. I mean, it's going to take time, but over the years it will pan out real well, I think.
Norfolk Southern's opened their new intermodal terminal as part of its Crescent Corridor project out at the edge of Rossville and Piperton. One study says that this could generate as many as 10,000 jobs. What reaction, if any, do you think the town should have to that new development?
Well, I think we need to be open-minded to them and offer them a place for residential, and also we've got some commercial, but I think, like I said before, if you have more housetops and they come in and buy houses and so forth, and you get more housetops and have more people living here, then you're going to see more commercial stuff come. And I know we have one car dealership now that's getting ready to start building out here, so, and we've had several other people inquiring about things, so there's always activity going.
The school system has a major impact on the quality of life for families in Collierville. The new system hasn't been created yet. Tell us what you think the major political questions are that the alderman will face in regard to the new school system.
Well, I think it's going to be a new experience for all of us, but I think that with the experience that we've got and with the hiring of a superintendent that's got some experience and so forth, I think this will help tremendously. Of course, we've always had a good school system over the years, and that's been one of the things we've promoted as far as Collierville is concerned. We've always promoted the school, and I was sorry to see Memphis give up their charter and take over the Shelby County, or come into the Shelby County schools. Of course, right now it seems like they would really enjoy taking over Shelby County schools, but we're not trying to cut Memphis out by forming a school district out here, because for many years we've always wanted a municipal school.
So now the town is facing its first election of a school board. What do you believe ought to be the qualifications for a school board member? You have any advice for people?
Well, I don't really have a lot of advice because I haven't studied much on that. But you know, you've got people that have taught school. You've got a lot of people that's in business, financial wise, and so forth. And you've got some people that are in the banking business that's running. Some people that are in the school business that started. If I get rid of my fly, but you've got I think a real good selection of people that's running for school board. And I think out of that, I think there's 14 people running. So out of that 14, we should have 5 good candidates, 5 good school board members.
Mm-hmm. What fiduciary role does the board of mayor and alderman have with the Collierville school superintendent and the Collierville school board, do you think?
You talking about if we form a new one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, really, the main thing we will do is the board, the biggest project we will have as far as the school is concerned, is hiring a superintendent, because after you hire the superintendent, then he and the school board hire the teachers and put everything together. So it kind of goes out of our hands as far as working on things after we get if we get it cleared through court and all that, well then it goes through out of our hands, and then it goes to the superintendent, and he and the school board are the ones in charge at that time.
Crime is an issue on the minds of citizens. What, if any, changes do you think are needed in the police department?
I don't really see a lot of changes we need to do. We have one of the safest towns in Shelby County, and we have more crime solved that we do have than most towns in Shelby County. And the last couple of instances when I know they robbed Walgreens, and before they got out of the parking lot, we had the police up there and had 2 of them caught. And then they robbed a house out here in Bailey, and before they got out of the house, one of them got caught, and we caught the other the next day. So we've had real good luck with people, and I think it sends a message, you know, that if you're getting caught, you're not that interested in coming out here. I'd rather go somewhere else.
Yeah. What about fire protection? That's an important issue for citizens.
That's an important issue too, and we have probably, like I say, as good a fire prevention and fire protection. Ambulance service, because we don't have the ambulances, but the thing about it is we have the EMTs and the med people on the fire truck. So if you call, and I've used them a couple of times, and if you call, they're there within 5 to 7 minutes, something like that, anywhere in town. And when they do that, when they get there, they know what to do and how to do. And in fact, if I had some working on some of them, I'd rather have working on some doctors I've had work on me.
Well, look, we sure appreciate your public service and your willingness to volunteer and run for this position.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity. The main reason I'm running again is the fact that of the school system, because, well, like I say, we've always wanted a school system out here, have for many years, and now it seems like we have the opportunity. And the mayor and I have been to Nashville several times with the legislature and so forth. In fact, we made 2 trips in 1 week this past couple of months. Went up there and they put the bill off one day, and we didn't carry clothes, so we came back to Collierville and turned around and went back next morning. So we feel like we've put our time in doing this, and we hope our school is going to work out. If they do, I think we'll be much better off.
Well, that sounds great. Well, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Well, Steve, thank you for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
We'd like to find out a little bit about who you are and your history of community involvement.
Okay. I've lived in Collierville for going on 11 years now. Lived in Germantown most of my life, so kind of familiar with this whole area and stuff. You know, both I have 2 children. They go to school here in Collierville, one at Crosswind, one at Schilling Farms. My wife's a teacher at Crosswind, teaches 1st grade out there. So, you know, you can imagine we've been involved in pretty much everything Collierville has to offer, from going to the square for the concerts and all the parks and rec, you know, all the sporting events and everything, participating in that. You know, I'm a member of the Collierville Soccer Association. I'm on the recreational side board, and help out with rec soccer and coach a lot. You know, probably people lots seen me out there on the fields, you know, one time or another at different events, coaching soccer, football, baseball, basketball, so and stuff. And you know, we're all around town. So,
well, that's great. So the town's grown a lot in the last 20, 30 years. Now it's got about 480 employees and a $42 million budget. And the aldermen provide political oversight for this operation. Tell us a little bit about what's important to you in providing political oversight for something like this, and what kind of experience you have with that.
I wouldn't say I have any experience in political oversight. You know, I help run my own business. You know, and you have to think of it as a business. I mean, the town is a business. Its job is to, you know, represent its people, but you're spending their money. You're deciding what happens with their money. So you have to take all that into account, and, you know, you know, it'll be a challenge. You know, the town's going to grow. I mean, especially with new schools on the horizon, what happens with that? You know, there's going to be additional funding. You know, they're trying for additional sales tax. So there's going to be a lot more money. So you're going to have to decide how that money's allocated and what it's going to go to and where it's going to be the most benefit.
All the candidates have been in a position of decision making and leading others. Different people lead in different ways. How would you define your style of leadership?
More of a leader by example, probably. You know, I'm kind of just take charge, get things done. You know, I like to just be the one that's doing it, you know, more so. You know, I can lead people. I think I can get them to understand my position, what I want, and what we might need and stuff, but I prefer to lead by example.
What are the top 3 values you believe should guide the town government in its decision making?
Just responsible. I think you got to be responsible. You got to understand that, you know, everybody works hard. You know, they're paying their taxes. That's primary to me, is that you've got to make sure you're being responsible with their money. I don't know so much about 3. You know, so.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of mayor?
The mayor is the representative for the town. So.
Sorry, we had a little technical difficulty here.
You know, I mean, they're going to be the spokesperson for the town. You know, they need to. I almost think the mayor should be a full-time position for the city of Collierville. You know, it'd be more responsible, well, more hands-on, let's say. You know, the town's run by its administrator, but the mayor really should be the one running the town, representing the town, you know, the face of the town. So.
In your opinion, what makes a good mayor?
Someone that, well, it's hard to say. You know, someone that's not afraid to get up and, you know, stand by their convictions, you know, and say, this is what this town needs to do. I'm not worried about being reelected. This is going to be the best for the town, and just do it, and try to promote that, and explain your position as to why. Yeah.
In your opinion, what is the role and purpose of the office of alderman?
I think they're there to support the mayor. You know, they need to be there to support the mayor, but you know, they've got to consider. Well, really, you got to take both positions. You got to, you know, what the mayor wants, what the town needs, what the citizens of the town are telling you, you know, and, you know, you got to kind of help to reach a compromise maybe between everybody, you know. So, you know, the mayor might see the town in one direction, the town might not agree, and aldermen kind of have to set the tone on how it's going to go.
Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Many times our strengths create our weaknesses. What would be your strengths and weaknesses?
My strengths would be leading by example. You know, weakness, I don't know. Sometimes I might not speak up as much as I should. You know, which, you know, I'm trying to lead, get everybody to let's go along, get this done, and sometimes I might just kind of hang back and say, okay, I've tried, you know, but I probably need to try a little bit harder and get it done.
In your opinion, what is the financial state of the town? Is it healthy?
I'd have to say, we're probably break even. I think, you know, we've recently, you know, there's been some issues going on with where we're spending money and stuff. So I think we need to look at that, and going into the future, the sales tax, you know, property taxes, it's going to make a big impact, you know, especially if schools are coming to a local if we're going to have our own district, you know, so that could put the city in a financial hole if they're not careful. So, but right now I think that the city overall is stable.
If you could affect one change in town government, what would it be?
I'd like to see, you know, we have several several boards that make recommendations to the board and mayor of Alderman, you know. So I would like to see more involvement on those boards. You know, the mayor picks those positions. Maybe the board could have a little more input as who's on those positions. So there's a little more influence from the town itself, the citizens, you know, of what's being presented to the board and the mayor.
Since 2008, what decisions have been made by the mayor and board of aldermen that, looking back, you'd say, well, you know, I think that was unwise, or that would have been something I would not have supported? Is there anything in particular?
No, there's some minor issues, you know, new lighting for several of the parks. You know, I think we had lights there to begin with. It really wasn't a necessity for the town. You know, I would like to, you know, I know the town decided to keep its own garbage service. I think maybe they should reconsider that, you know, maybe look at contracting that out. You know, there's a lot of expense that goes in with that. So those are two issues. You know, I know everybody was up in arms over the turf fields that they put in and how much money they spent on them. If you spend any time out there, they're pretty much packed all the time. So it was probably money well spent there. You know, didn't have an issue with that. You know, the town has been expanding, and I think, you know, they need to do a better job of promoting more business in the town. You know, so.
The town's become more business friendly the past 4 years, I think, but maybe not in your mind. What would you do to make the town or help the town to be more business friendly?
Yeah, I would agree that it has become a little bit easier to do business. I mean, before it was really hard to do business in Collierville. You know, you always heard that somebody would want to come here and start a business, and Collierville would set so many restrictions that, you know, they'd almost say it's not worth it. So the town has made some adjustments. I still think they need to continue trying to work. You know, I believe that, you know, any kind of business development that takes place in the town of Collierville should be in the main areas like Poplar, you know, where those businesses are. You know, I think you need to separate the residential and the business. You know, there was an issue with the gas station wanting to go in a residential neighborhood. And, you know, the people of the town spoke and said, we don't want it here. And they finally listened, you know, so. But the town, they still need to make it a little bit easier for businesses that want to come here. You know, the restrictions, I understand you want the town to look a certain way, and you just have to compromise and make that work. That work benefits both people.
What role do you see the local Chamber of Commerce playing between the town and the business community?
Well, the Chamber represents the businesses. You know, they're made up of business members, so, you know, their input, you know, they can tell you what they've run into when they're either starting a business, when they came into town, or any issues that they're running into right now, or new members that come into the chamber. You know, what issues are they having trying to get their business, you know, whatever it is with the town or in the town, you know, so they can bring that to your attention, and then you can address that, and the two can work hand in hand to help promote the business.
The growth of business in Collierville will lower the tax burden for homeowners and create a more balanced town. How important is economic development to you?
Oh, it's very important. I see that really as one of the biggest issues going forward is, if, we're raising the sales tax, that's what our proposed, we voted on that recently. If people aren't out spending money at your businesses locally, the sales tax is not going to generate any money. So you're going to have to promote more business in the town and attract more new businesses to continue to come in and help generate those funds.
Mm-hmm. Well, over the last 4 years, what growth has occurred because of the strides taken as a result of the town creating a more business-friendly environment? Are there businesses that have moved or expanded in Collierville because of those efforts, in your opinion?
I wouldn't say, there has been some growth. The economy has pretty much halted a lot of growth. There has been, housing, it is going to, more businesses come to town, the more housing you're going to have. So your infrastructure is going to have to change. With new roads, Collierville has kept up building the roads to help support all that. We've got the industrial park now. You're going to have 385 coming all the way around. And so there has been growth and there has been new businesses, and there continue to be new businesses. So there's going to be some differences and changes coming, as we go forward.
The town recently adopted the Collierville 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan. The plan's use will result in a better town of Collierville. In your opinion, what's the best way for the town to accomplish some of the policies contained in the Comprehensive Land Use Plan?
I have not read that, so I couldn't even give you a good thought about that.
Mm-hmm. Out at the edge of Piperton and Rossville, North Fork Southern has opened their new intermodal terminal as part of their Crescent Corridor project. Some studies say that this might create 10,000 jobs out there. How should the town react to this new large intermodal terminal under construction?
I think they should welcome it. If it does create the amount of jobs I think it will, they're going to be, Piperton is not a really large city, so those people are going to be coming to Collierville to go to stores, grocery shopping, various businesses in town, restaurants. They might have people moving out here instead of living out in Piperton. So it would be a positive impact for the town.
Mm-hmm. The school system has a major impact on the quality of life of families in Collierville. And the creation of the Collierville Municipal School District has not happened yet, but is perhaps close. What do you think are the major political questions that the aldermen face regarding the new school system?
That issue is going to be difficult. If it happens, if and when it happens, I don't think that the town will be ready to handle this by next year, by the start of the coming school year. I think there's a lot more involved, and there's a lot that's going to have to go on to handle that. But the town's going to have to be there, especially to help decide, how we're going to run this. Are we going to leave this as an independent school, with just the school board deciding what happens and giving them the funding and you decide everything? Is the town going to intermix with computer technical support, maintenance, everything that goes along with, running a school? I mean, you're going to have insurance, you got employees, computers. So you're going to have to hire all those new employees. Who's going to control that? School board, the town? There's some big issues that's going to go with that.
Mm-hmm. And for the first time, Collierville might be electing its own school board members. What do you think would be the qualifications for school board members? I mean, this is something new for Collierville.
Yeah, I would think a school board member, they're going to have a little bit of background in everything. You have to have someone that's got an education, that's been involved in education, whether it's been being a school administrator, working at the board, being a teacher. You're going to help set all those, items that go on in the school, but you still have to have a business background. You have to run a school as a business as well. You're going to have money coming in, you're going to have money going out. You got to know what you're doing with it and how to spend it, you know, equally and where it needs to be spent. So a school board member, I think, have a little bit tougher job, to be honest. You know, because they're going to have to deal, you know, they're probably going to feel a lot more pressure, you know, if the schools aren't performing. So, you know, you're going to have to be able to withstand that. So I would say definitely the school board member, you know, going to have thick skin, because, you know, you will have a superintendent, but, you know, you're going to be in the spotlight as well.
And what fiduciary role do you think the mayor and board of aldermen play with the school superintendent and the school board?
They're going to have to make sure that they're supporting the school board by making sure they give them the funds they need to run this new school district. If you don't have the funding to hire good qualified teachers, you know, what are you going to do? Hire brand new teachers for an entire school system? I don't think the families around here would accept that. You know, so you're going to have to get qualified teachers, you know, and the board and the mayor both, you know, they're going to have to make sure the funds are there so that they can take care of that.
Crime is an issue in the minds of all citizens. What changes, if any, do you think are needed in the police department to address any crime concerns?
You know, Collierville is a pretty safe area. I think the police department's done a good job. They're very visible throughout the whole town. You know, they even have undercover cars now. So, you know, I don't think crime is really a major issue. You know, you have your minor crimes maybe kind of over towards the mall area, because that's just going to attract some, you know, that type of environment sometimes, you know, with theft and stuff like that. But overall, I think, you know, the police department's doing a good job and there's no need for change.
Fire protection is also an important issue for citizens. What changes, if any, do you think are needed in the fire department to serve the citizens?
Again, I think the fire department's done well. You know, we're a small community. You know, there's a fire station in reach of just about every neighborhood pretty quickly. You know, that's how it's supposed to be. You know, you see the trucks out, you see them working, you know, so they're visible. So it's not an issue. I don't think so at all.
So this is your first political race?
Yes.
And what drew you into running?
You know, they had decided, you know, there was a big uprising about I live over near the Johnson Park, Bahalia area, and they were deciding to put a gas station in at that area. And I sent an email to the mayor and all the aldermen, got a response from 2. So I decided, you know, if somebody had sent me an email, I would at least take the time to respond and say, hey, I'm looking at it, we'll make a decision, you know. And I got that from 2, not from the others. And, you know, I decided, you know what, if they're even considering this, then, you know, maybe I should consider running. You know, I even put that in my email. I said, if you're gonna consider this, then, you know, maybe I'll consider running against you. And so here I am.
Okay. Well, look, we want to thank you for being willing to take on the role of being a public servant, and thank you for coming in today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Have a great day.
Thank you.